Hello and welcome to another one of our tech demos. All right, so hopefully you've had a chance to at least look at some basic vector shapes and are a little familiar with Illustrator. Now we're just going to look at putting those tools together and building a simple house. So again, this is one of our basic tech demos. So follow along if you can, and if you're already ready, go and jump forward to a more advanced topic. All right, so what we're going to do is we're already set up our Illustrator file here. I've got a basic blank page. And I'm just going to kind of get some things situated here. So you can see in my layers panel over here on the side, I've got to move my zoom tools up here so that I have this to annotate for you. Always jumps that on me here. So I'm going over here and just going to set this up by changing this so that we don't have nondescript layer names. And we're going to come in here and let's name this house illustration. All right, so I've just double clicked that and renamed that. Let me go ahead and clear those drawings. So what I'm going to do now is going to start with the house body, and we're going to use our rectangle tool for that. For those that missed the last one or jumping ahead, come over here and you can see mine's currently set to the star, which isn't going to work for me. So I'm going to have to hold that down over here. My tool to respond, there it goes. Zoom tool's finding me at the same time. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make this a specific size. So I can either drag it out and then type in that specific amount, or I can click in the screen and I'll get this pop up. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set this to be 300 width and 200 height. And that'll create this for me. All right, clear my drawings out of the way there. And you can see I can grab the selection tool or hit D. And if you deselect it, you can just click on that. And I'm going to drag this kind of closer to the bottom of my screen here for where I'm going to place the body of the house. All right, next I'm going to create the roof of the house. I'm going to use the polygon tool for this. So just go back over there to the toolbar, click and hold down, come down to your polygon tool. And remember, those that followed us in our basic shapes, you can just click on this and you can get this set. By default, it's going to be on 6, which obviously isn't going to work for our roof. You just need a 3-sided one here. So I'm going to set it be 3 sides, and to kind of go with my house down there, I'm going to set my radius to be 150 pixels. That's going to give me a roof kind of like so. And I can take that and also, again, come over here, grab my movement tools, and kind of come set it down and be like, all right, that does not look like it's going to be nearly big enough for my roof. So again, you could either create a wider one or you can click on this and resize it. Now, keep in mind, if you're clicking on one side, it's going to drag it out from the left side or the right side. If you hold down your Alt key or Options key, you're going to be able to do different ones. So in this case, I can kind of drag that out and have that be a little bit equalized on both sides. And again, those that caught our alignment kind of sneak peek in the last tutorial, you come here and you can align them like that in the alignment. Now, for some of you, if you had created it and the triangle wasn't facing the right way, maybe you had it upside down like this, you'll notice that I can click on the corner, and when my control handle changes to this double-headed arrow, I can click on this and rotate, but you'll notice this is kind of freeform. So if you hold down the Shift key, it's going to snap you to those 45-degree angles, as you can see it displaying there. Also, you can also go up here and go Object Transform and rotate, and you can also type in a specific value. And if you have the preview on in here, you can also kind of preview what it's going to look like. So mine's already where I want it to be, so I'm good there. All right, so now let's add a little bit of details to our house. I'm going to go back over to my toolbar here, again to the polygon tool, and I'm going to go back to the rectangle tool. And I'm going to create 2 windows for us here. And I'll just click it off to the side so you guys can see in the video. So I'm going to make each of these windows be 50 by 70. So 50, 70, hit OK. And I can do that twice, or I can hold down, you'll see if I hold down Alt and Shift, it'll change this icon. So noticeably, if I just have the selection tool and I move it, this moves your object around. But if you hold down Alt, it actually creates a copy of it. So that's a great way to, like, once you've made a piece, especially if it's a very edited piece, to quickly make a copy that's identical to that, essentially a clone of it. So I'm going to take this one, bring it down over here. Now it's kind of hard for me to see because they're all pink, and we're going to change the color here in a moment. So I'm just going to take that, hold this down, and create a copy for it over there. And I'm going to go back to the rectangle tool one more time. And this time I'm going to click and I'm going to create a door that's going to be a little bit larger than this. And this will be 60 by 100. So 60, 100. Now I'll have that ready to go to be my door on the house. Now sometimes if you're zoomed out really far, you notice that it gets kind of dangerous. You might start clicking on endpoints and it might, edit it or start drawing another one. So feel free to zoom in and out. You'll get very used to doing something like that. I know it's not great in a video like this, but as an artist, you're going to want to be able to zoom in and out at those aspect ratios that allows you to kind of grab what you need to and use your hotkeys, or I'll go over here because you guys can see me when I do this versus a hotkey. I'll select on that and I can grab this and move this down here. And again, I'll just have it off screen for now, or off the house. So you can see I've got that door kind of ready to go when I start setting up these colors. All right. All right, so as we start working on more complex images, it's best to be well-organized designers. So I am going to practice what I preach and come over here and create some new layers and label these layers. So I'm over here in the layers panel, and what I need to do is I need to hit the new layer icon. In this case, it's this little plus icon every couple episodes or versions of Photoshop and Illustrator and other Adobe products. It changes, so I'm going to click this and it's going to add a new layer. So I'm going to give myself 3 layers here. I'm going to create one for the windows, one for the windows and doors, one's for the roof, and maybe one for some yard stuff in foliage. To show it one time, I'll show you how I can either click on this or double click and change the name. I won't waste time in the video renaming all of them on camera, but you just double click on it and you come in here, you type roof. And of course, if you want to get really organized, you could have different things like backgrounds be one color, shapes be another color, so forth. Figure out what your methodology is and stick to it as you develop your work as a designer. All right, so we've got them all named up there now. And what I need to do is I need to actually put these pieces into the respective layers. So what you can see is over on the right-hand side where I've got my layers, you can see I have all of these parts in here and they're not labeled, and that's a bad thing too, but let's at least get them on the layer. So I know this one right here is the roof and I can find it right here. It's the polygon. So all I have to do is click and drag that up to the layer called roof. And if you want to make sure, just quickly without renaming them, you can toggle the visibility off and on, clicking that eyeball. And now it gets a little bit trickier because all of these look like rectangles. So I'm going to click on them and hold down shift so I get both of them here. And I can see that these two right here are my windows. I can put that up there. And I do have windows and doors on the same one, so it does make it a little bit easier. So I can find that one there, put that on windows and doors. And what that means is that this last one is the main house body that says house illustration. At this point, house illustration is probably not the best name for this layer, so I'll double click that and just name that house walls or walls. So now I have a layer with yard elements, which is empty, and that's why there's no little caret there. I have windows and doors, roof, and walls. And again, you can sit there and name these and label these down further, but we'll cover that in different episodes, so we don't need to repeat that here. All right, so let's get a little variety to these and get them showing the way they should. So I'm going to select the roof and let's change the color of the roof. I go into the color panel here and let's just make it a nice red color, like so. I can then, again, use my selected colors and I can click here in the view, but you can also take advantage of your layer panel and come over here and click on either if it's the only object inside the layer, or you can click on the object within the layer if there's multiple. So for example, in my window and doors, I have multiple ones in here, so I can click on them and go, okay, probably need to label these so I know that these are the windows. So I quickly pre-label those. So it's easier to find them. That way when you're giving them colors, so in this case, I can say, all right, let's select window 1, window 2, and change them to a yellow color, perhaps. And let's make the door a dark brown color. So and now I can drag those over onto the view. And you can see where sometimes the choice of your layer is a bad choice. We have made our windows yellow and the layer is yellow, and it gets really hard to see that background. So in this case, I might double click this and let's say, bad choice. Let's make the windows this teal cyan blue color instead so that I can see those outlines on there. And again, zoom in and I can pull this window over, pull this guy over like so. I'm not going to worry too much about where I place them because we're just doing the tech demo today. All right, same thing, grab my door and I can bring this up here and you can see it's going to snap that in. And let's change our background wall here to just an off gray color for our house here. So find one that kind of makes your windows show up. Pretty good. All right. Now, last but not least, we have this empty yard layer here. So we can create some new foliage here. So let's go ahead and create a couple of ellipses. And I'm going to go ahead before I create the ellipse, switch over to a green color for my tree. Oops. Let's hit undo on that one. Always remember to deselect before you click that color panel. Otherwise, you will change the object you have selected. And I can see here, I'm going to go ahead and switch that color now to this green and make a very simple tree pattern here. And again, I can drag a couple of these out like so. And let's grab all of them like that. And we can pull it up to be a tree. And I can see right now it's not on that because the last thing I selected was the wall layer. So I really need to make sure that I'm on the right layer when I create these. So I'm just going to move them there now. But if I had selected the yard elements before doing that, they would have been created there. Now we need to create a trunk. And this is a good chance to use my pen tool again. So I'm just going to grab the pen tool here. And again, deselect my trees or my leaves there before I switch to this brown color. And I will just create a basic little trunk like so. Click a few things and make my tree. And then you'll notice that if you wanted those branches to be behind it, again, this is going to be covered in the layers videos, but remember, just bring it in and you can alternate what's in front or what's in back. And so you can kind of move this up and down, figure out if you want one in front, one in back. Now, to make this able to be moved, last thing for today is you'll notice that if I try to click and move this, I'm going to accidentally tear my tree apart. So what you want to do is select all of those pieces here. I'm just holding down Shift to select all of them like so. And I'm going to use a shortcut here. I can hit Control G to group it, but you can also go in and go Object Group, and that's going to group them all together. And you can see it labels it just by default group. So you can double click that and say tree. And now when you select that, it's going to move your whole tree. So you can move that tree over here. And likewise, you can do all the things that you did with the windows. Like if you hold down Shift, you can take that and clone it and so forth. All right, that's it for this one. We'll see you in the next text demo. Have some fun building your houses.